We're living in the final part of the last days, undoubtedly, the final part of the final part of the last days. This is the end of the world. This is the end of the world.
Hello and welcome to the Last Days live stream, the show that brings welcome levity to the end of the world, lifting the spirits of many of you battling boredom, loneliness, or anxiety by infecting as many as possible with comfort and distraction as the apocalypse unfolds. Welcome to all of you this fine Saturday. I do realize it's not such a big deal for us Brits, but it's the 4th of July, isn't it? Wow. So congratulations. And I hope those of you in America, and let's face it, that will be the majority of you on the Saturday live stream. I hope you're having a wonderful weekend and using the opportunity to have fun and relaxation with loved ones. Let's just look at some of these comments. I apologize if the audio and video is a little bit glitchy. Usually it just needs a little bit of time to settle in, but I'm going to keep an eye on it. Okay, so let's just look at these comments. Okay, gosh, wow. So there's 132 watching now. Wow, where do I even begin with these comments? Lots of people just talking to each other, which is lovely to see, by the way. It's nice to see a little bit of a community developing, it could be argued, surrounding the Last Days live stream. So I'm actually having to scroll through a lot of comments that are just people chatting with each other. Okay, bear with me one moment. 5 more minutes, says Devon Phoenix. Okay, so we're getting close to some kind of reaction, I think. Oh, Devon Phoenix has also sent a super sticker, so thank you very much indeed. Mad Jock, here we go. Mad Jock 2112, a mad jock from the future, it seems. Says, good afternoon from Scotland. Hope everyone is well. Oh, happy birthday to Keith. Who's Keith? Keith, whoever you are, happy birthday. So Capricorn Moon says, hi everyone, hope you are all well today. Yes, I echo those sentiments. Donna Baines is wishing us all good morning from the Big Apple, which I'm given to understand is a reference to New York for any of you watching from outside of America. Joelle Brown, this just proves, doesn't it, that we can't take for granted who our audience is, because Joelle Brown is saying it's 1 a.m. in Australia. And as I glance at the green room, I can already see at least one Aussie team member poised and waiting to join the live stream. So yes, Australia does seem to be represented, even on the Saturday show. Scrolling through. Oh, crumbs. Don't give him ideas, Debbie Yule. We haven't yet had airbag pipes. We've had almost every instrument interpreted by Arthur. I'm not familiar with there being any airbag pipes yet. But again, I worry about you giving him ideas, to be honest. Maria Albert says, I so look forward to these. Hello, everyone. Hello, Maria. Saul Goodman is checking in from Vancouver, Canada. We have Holland represented. Fantastic. Gabrielle Spedding, a regular, it should be said, of the show, says, hello, everybody. I'm from Montreal. Moulin Rouge says hello from Florida. Another Floridian is Denise Bartlett. So yes, lots and lots of people from all over the place. Michigan's here. Wonderful. I don't think anyone's even mentioned Have I got my dates wrong? It should be 4th of July. Maybe the Americans who are present just aren't feeling particularly... here we are. Ben Fox, watching from good old West Virginia, celebrating my first 4th of July today. Should be fun. Freedom from the mind control is amazing because, of course, 4th of July isn't something you'd be able to celebrate as a Jehovah's Witness, but it's something that you can indulge in once your mind is your own. Victoria Roberts says, watching from my allotment in lockdown Leicester. Yes. So in the UK, lockdown restrictions are mostly being lifted, but Leicester is an exception, it seems, because there's a rather large spike in cases in that particular city. I do need to thank Hey McFly. Says, hey, new cult leader, you woke me up. Thank you. I do try not to be a cult leader, but thank you so much for the super chat. And we've also had a super chat through from David. I'm going to see if I can scroll and find it. Probably you can see from the glitchiness that my system is refusing to cooperate. Hi, Monica. Nice to see you. Monica is a patron and a regular in most live streams. And there's David's comment. Good morning from Alaska. Keep up the good work, Lloyd. I will certainly do my very best, David. And again, happy 4th of July to you over there in Alaska. So with 215 people watching, let's proceed, because I have ambitions for this show, viewers. I want to do another last day's quiz, and we need to allow at least half an hour for that. There'll be other segments as well, I'm sure. I sense there will be a Sherry's Comfort Corner and a Sing-Along with Arthur. So there's lots to cram in, and probably I should just get on with it, as they say in Monty Python and the Holy Grail, and read the section on fear. So I'm reading from Take Back Your Life by Janja Lalich and Madeline Tobias. I am deep in chapter 9, Coping with Emotions. In our last show, we were discussing depression. Now we're up to the section on fear. Fear is the backbone of cultic control. Fear of those outside the group, fear of failure, ridicule, and violence within the group, or fear of spiritual failure or the disintegration of your belief system. Comparing notes with other former members is a favorable antidote to fear. It is easier to recognize that your fear may be the result of psychological manipulation when you talk about it with people who have had similar experiences. One resource for mutual support is Refocus, a support network for former cult members. There are numerous support groups throughout the United States, and you can find out more about them by contacting Refocus. Fear often comes in the form of plaguing questions. What if I was wrong and the leader truly is the Messiah, the all-knowing one? What if harmful events actually do befall defectors? What if the group follows through on its threats? Sometimes outsiders naively ask, why don't people leave the cult if they want to? They aren't physically restrained. I've actually heard Tony Morris try to give that old chestnut of an excuse. Oh, we don't chain people to their seats at the Kingdom Hall. One answer to that question lies in the phenomenon of phobia induction. A phobia is an intense fear reaction to someone or something that, in effect, can immobilize a person. Sometimes the phobia causes such physical responses as heart palpitations, dry mouth, sweating, and other manifestations of tension or anxiety. In some cults, members are systematically made to be phobic about ever leaving the group, writes Steve Hassan. Today's cults know how to effectively implant vivid negative images deep within the members' unconscious minds, making it impossible for the member to even conceive of ever being happy and successful outside of the group. Members are programmed either overtly or subtly, depending on the organization, to believe that if they ever leave, they will die of some horrible disease, be hit by a car, be killed in a plane crash, or perhaps even cause the death of loved ones. Phobia induction is a powerful means of control because it makes testing reality a frightening prospect, and it can cause a kind of paralysis and inability to act. In some groups, members are told that they will be possessed by the devil, die, or become psychotic if they leave the group. Because some cult leaders claim to have supernormal powers, their adherents tend to take such dire predictions seriously. In other groups, members are told that the outside world is cruel, unbearable, unsympathetic, and they will never survive out there. One example of this phobic paralysis was seen in the kidnapping of young Elizabeth Smart in Salt Lake City, Utah. Elizabeth was taken from her own bedroom at knife point and held against her will by Brian David Mitchell, a self-styled prophet who preached his own version of Mormon fundamentalism and wanted the young girl to be one of his many wives. One of the coercive tactics he used was to tell Elizabeth that he would kill not only her, but also her family if she tried to run away. It is no wonder that this 14-year-old girl succumbed to such intense psychological pressures and apparently made no effort to escape during her 9 months of captivity. How stubbornly unsympathetic of talk show hosts and others to later question why Elizabeth didn't run away at any and every opportunity. Review in your mind the indoctrination that went on in your own group. Think about the kinds of things that were said or taught. Remember the power of triggers. If you are fearful or experience panic attacks, review the section on triggers in Chapter 8 and discuss the problem with trusted friends or a therapist. Because you were warned about the dangers of leaving the group, you may still blame yourself for everything bad that happens. Do some reality checking. If your all-powerful cult is responsible for the bad things that have happened to you since you left, then who is responsible for the good things? Be realistic about your former leader's powers and the cult's actual ability to follow through on threats. If harm from your cult is a real possibility, then take precautions, some of which are outlined below. We will, however, save those precautions for our next show because, as I mentioned, we do have a lot to get through. And wow, the green room is brimming by this point with panelists. But before I unleash them on you all, I do have a number of very, very generous super chats to thank people for. Wow. Gosh, so let me just find some. Thank you, Yomari Iniestra, for that very generous super chat. Thanks, Yomari. Yomari is one of my patrons as well. Just scrolling through. Thank you also to Sylvia Hernandez. Hello from Texas. Thanks, Lloyd, for waking me up 20 years as a physically out, mentally in. Well, Sylvia, thank you so much. As I try to stress, massive credit goes to you, because no matter what resources I've helped to make available that you found helpful, and I'm delighted about that, it really did take your bravery and personal integrity for those resources to be of any value. So congratulations to you. Eric Larson, thank you also for your super chat. Congratulations to Lipped Locked No More for her newfound freedom. Yes, Lipped Locked No More. We're quite a big family on Patreon, and Lipped Locked No More is one of our newest patrons. And yes, she has recently disassociated, which is very exciting for her. And thank you also to Nicole Moore Parker. Love these live streams. Thank you. I'm so glad you enjoy them, Nicole. We have quite a live stream for you today. 253 people watching. That's fantastic. Let me unleash my green room on you all. I've read this one, but thank you also to you, David. So let's take the comments down and let's introduce this chap, Arthur Weber. Let's introduce David Souza.
Ooh.
And Souza and Marc ODonnell and Kimmy O'Donnell. It's a full house.
Wow, that's amazing.
So how are we all?
Hi,
I feel like the
everyone.
Brady Bunch.
I noticed that Marc and Kimmy have finally mastered green screen technology and are giving us the impression that they are in the paradise. So
That's right.
what's happening there?
They
I'm
are
petting
in
my lion.
Pennsylvania. They are in Pennsylvania, in the close proximity of Watchtower Bible and Tract Society of Pennsylvania.
I
Aren't you
know,
guys?
Arthur. I'm only. It's a segue, Arthur. It's a segue. It's just a bit of humor. So tell us all about your trip, Marc and Kimmy.
Well, hey guys, nice to be with you. So we left yesterday at about 4 p.m. from Baltimore, and let me see if I can give you guys. I apologize if there's any issues here because I'm hearing an echo.
Yeah, if anyone's got this on a speaker, please can you mute your microphone while other panelists are on.
Mark, you're
it might be
triggering me.
Okay, that I think we're better now. Can you guys hear okay?
Yeah, that's fine, yeah.
Okay, perfect. So we'll have to do some muting and unmuting. So Kimmy and I are here in lovely Railroad, Pennsylvania, which is about a mile north of New Freedom, Pennsylvania. So we rode our bikes about 24 miles last night, all the way up to New Freedom. And there's our B&B host. Let's turn around the camera here. Say hi.
Probably wondering what on earth you're doing.
I don't know if you can see her or not, but so we're here with our great host at the. This is brought to you by the Jackson House Bread and Breakfast in Railroad, Pennsylvania. So this is a really nice little place to stay. It's for those that are familiar with rail trails. So we like to bicycle. So we're on a converted railroad trail where they've taken out the original railroad. In fact, this is the railroad where Abraham Lincoln traveled from Washington, D.C. up to Pennsylvania to Hanover Junction and then across to Gettysburg, Pennsylvania on his way to deliver the Gettysburg Address. So what you're seeing behind me is there are railroad tracks. You can see a fence and then you can see a trail and then you can see railroad tracks. So part of the railroad is still functioning as a tourist railroad. But actually, Lincoln not only gave his Gettysburg Address, he traveled this route to get to Gettysburg, but they also brought his body after he was assassinated on the same rail up into Pennsylvania and across. I think was it to Gettysburg or was it going back? But either way, they brought Lincoln's body on the same rail. Okay. So we're enjoying a weekend up here in Pennsylvania. So we're not in our usual spot. You can see there's a little bit of a water feature behind us. And
I thought it was just like a house had a really bad leak or something. But yeah, that does make sense.
There's a really great little antique shop you can see behind me that's been there for a very long time. The Cadorus River runs underneath of that antique shop, and a fellow Baltimore Polytechnic grad owns that place, so we have a lot in common. So that's the short story.
Wonderful.
Nice to see everybody.
And does this mean that we won't have any cats to dangle in front of the camera this time?
So no cats on our end, but there are cats running around this trail, so you never know. One time we were here, a skunk came and sat underneath Mark's chair, so you know there might be some other wildlife.
10 free points.
He likes to say. He likes to say
10 free points if you want to grab a skunk for us. That would be.
Although Mark could do a bicycle tune-up, and that could go that way. It could be an instructional video.
It could.
So it's like 24 miles. They had fireworks apparently last night, but we got here like 15 minutes too late, so we missed the fireworks.
Oh.
Well, it's nice to see you both enjoying a weekend off from Arthur's weighing in now with the cat thing. So
thank you, Arthur.
for monetization purposes, if you are watching this as a YouTube reviewer, you will note that this is not a serious adult program discussing mature topics. This is actually a pet video. Arthur, you have that's a very old cat, isn't it? As far as I know.
Yes. Yes.
Okay, so with so many here, and Sherry, you've been quiet so far, but perhaps we can fix that, because I'm hoping that you can provide us with maybe a bit of comfort and maybe just a smidge of fear. Sherry's Comfort Corner.
Yeah.
Never gets old.
No, it doesn't. And kind of in line with that, I have recently obtained some more reading material, some wonderful books that we've added to our bookshelf. And one of them, Crucial Conversations. Yes. And so in line with the fear thing there, something that puts a lot of fear into especially people, or especially XJ-dubs that are newly awakened, is that phone call from an elder wanting to speak to them. Sure. So I thought that we might take a little bit of wisdom from the Crucial Conversations book and see what we can learn from it. So I'm just going to read a little bit from this. First off, it says, how do we typically handle crucial conversations? Just because we're in the middle of a crucial conversation, or maybe thinking about stepping up to one, doesn't mean that we're in trouble or that we won't fare well. In truth, when we face crucial conversations, we can do one of three things. We can avoid them, we can face them and handle them poorly, or we can face them and handle them well. Now, I just want to stop there for a moment, because I remember all too well in those early days of waking up that first option of we can avoid them is something you don't seriously consider as an option. Right. Because in most cases, you've been indoctrinated to think that you must obey what the elders want. And if the elders want to talk to you, then you feel you must comply. But the reality is you don't have to. You don't have to comply at all. You can actually avoid them. But if you choose not to avoid them and to participate, then we need to be aware about how our bodies and our minds are going to respond to this. So a little bit more. When conversations turn from routine to crucial, and I'm imagining the scenario of talking with elders here, we're often in trouble. That's because emotions don't exactly prepare us to converse effectively. Countless generations of genetic shaping drive humans to handle crucial conversations with flying fists and fleet feet, not intelligent persuasion and gentle attentiveness. For instance, consider a typical crucial conversation. Someone says something you disagree with about a topic that matters a great deal to you, and the hairs on the back of your neck stand up. The hairs you can handle. Unfortunately, your body does more. Two tiny organs seated neatly atop your kidneys pump adrenaline into your bloodstream. You don't choose to do this. Your adrenal glands do it, and then you have to live with it. And that's not all. Your brain then diverts blood from activities it deems not essential to high priority tasks such as hitting and running. Unfortunately, as the large muscles of the arms and the legs get more blood, the higher level reasoning sections of your brain get less. As a result, you end up facing challenging conversations with the same intellectual equipment available to a monkey. Your body is preparing to deal with an attacking saber-toothed tiger, not your boss, neighbor, or loved ones. We're under pressure, so let's add another factor. Crucial conversations are frequently spontaneous. More often than not, they come out of nowhere. And since you're caught by surprise, you're forced to conduct an extraordinarily complex human interaction in real time. No books, no coaches, and certainly no short breaks, while a team of therapists runs to your aid and pumps you full of nifty ideas. I thought that description very much summed up what it could be like, or most often is like, when you are sprung on by an elder or another witness wanting to know why you're no longer at meetings, for example. But I don't want to leave it on such a negative there. It's helpful. The body and the brain and the adrenaline is taking over here, but what can we do about it? So there are skills that we can learn on how to converse properly or how to handle crucial conversations. I'm just going to very quickly go through. There's only a few paragraphs here. This is under the heading Maintain Safety. In order to speak honestly, when honesty could easily offend others, we have to find a way to maintain safety. That's a bit like telling someone to smash another person in the nose, but, don't hurt him. How can we speak the unspeakable and still maintain respect? Actually, it can be done if you know how to carefully blend 3 ingredients: confidence, humility, and skill. So confidence. Most people simply won't hold delicate conversations well. Well, at least not with the right person. For instance, your colleague, Brian, goes home at night and tells his wife that his boss, Fernando, is micromanaging him to within an inch of his life. He says the same thing over lunch when talking with his pals. Everyone knows what Brian thinks about Fernando, except, of course, Fernando. People who are skilled at dialogue have the confidence to say what needs to be said to the person who needs to hear it. They are confident that their opinions deserve to be placed in the pool of meaning. They're also confident that they can speak openly without brutalizing others or causing undue offense. So that's confidence. Humility. Confidence does not equate to arrogance or pig-headedness. Skilled people are confident that they have something to say, but also realize that others have valuable input. They are humble enough to realize that they don't have a monopoly on the truth, nor that they always have to win their way. Their opinions provide a starting point, but not the final word. They may currently believe something, but realize that with new information, they may change their minds. This means they're willing to both express their opinions and encourage others to do the same. And then finally, skill. People who willingly share delicate information are good at doing it. That's why they're confident in the first place. They don't make a fool's choice because they've found a path that allows for both candor and safety. They speak the unspeakable, and people are grateful for their honesty. So I know I was trying to tackle a very big subject there on how to handle those awkward conversations. There's obviously a lot more information in the book, but it does help, I think, to understand what's happening chemically within our bodies when conversations like this occur, and also to have the courage that you can actually manage a conversation well and say what you need to say
Indeed.
as best as you can.
Very topical information there, and people responding to it as well in the comments. 2018 Katana girl says, an elder called me the other day, voicemail, wanting to meet with me and the circuit overseer over Zoom. My response, I'm not interested in speaking religious leaders. Please respect my privacy. There was as well another comment that came in. I think I put it up on the screen from Black Sheep, or a Black Sheep. An elder keeps trying to send me links to the Kingdom Hall Zoom line. And I'm just so over them trying to contact me. I want to live my life and stop hiding. I think it's safe to say that sometimes you do need to get into a conversation, but there's also understanding the role of fear and the fact that these men don't have any power other than the power that you give them.
And
well, there's a need
boundaries.
I was just about to say that you need to draw some boundaries. So Black Sheep, that's not appropriate for them to be continuing to harass you. That's not understanding the boundary at all. And perhaps you can think about how expressing that in a safe way for you could be done.
Yeah, it's actually appropriate to politely decline these sorts of invitations or these harassing calls. It doesn't have to be done in a confrontational way, but there's really nothing wrong with saying, thanks for your call, or thank you for the link. I trust you'll have a nice day, and not engage any further, you know. And the broken record technique can often be applied in a polite way. If somebody like an elder insists on the conversation that you're not comfortable having, simply say, thank you for your interest. That's not something I'm comfortable doing. Have a lovely day. And if they again persist, just repeat that same line until they get the point.
Down.
That's what I had to do when after Mark left, and then I started to kind of fade out. So as soon as I kind of nicely, you know, told them that I wasn't going to meet with them, they left me alone. Like, if you show a little bit of respect for that power arrangement, then they will dial up the harassment. But if you take that control and you're nice about it, then they have no interest in hunting down people that they can't have that authority over.
Yeah.
So
Sasha previously mentioned the importance of appropriate boundaries. When it comes to music, we're all about stretching those appropriate boundaries as far as we possibly can. And there's one panelist who does that better than any of us. It's time for Sing Along with Arthur.
In a world where music caused laughter and distraction, one man
intro again
pushes the boundaries beyond the furthest limits.
can you fast forward, Lloyd?
Yes, we can fast forward. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for this, for listening to my really, really long intro. But indeed, as I said, I want to push limits further tonight and change a bit the format of the segment. No, it's nothing about uh-ohs, because I'm not lengthening it so much like I have done it previously. And instead of changing lyrics, let's change the melody. Let's change the instruments. Let's change the backing track. And a lot of years ago, I received a collection of MIDI tracks for Sing Praises to Jehovah. And one of them was really, really funny. And I would like to share it with you guys.
as seamlessly as possible.
We're nothing but professionals.
I'm really enjoying it.
Oh, crumbs. Okay, I've got.
It's the sound of silence.
That was great.
Oh, it's glitchy, right?
Yes.
Oh, shish.
Yes.
Let's see.
That was the word. In case anyone was wondering, that was the word "shish." It wasn't one of the forbidden words.
I'm trying to do something a bit differently. Let's see whether it can, because
you're right, Denise.
Do we have audio?
Yes.
Yes, we do.
Okay. Okay, 1 second. Let me go back then. Oh, listen to the news of the kingdom today, and hear Jesus say, over earth I hold sway. Your adversary soon will be taken away. So flee from his old system and do not delay. Let the wicked forsake their old way, and let those harmful forsake their harmful thoughts. Let them return to God, who mercy shows and who forgives in his own large way.
Please, no second verse.
Jehovah, through his witnesses, calls men today. You meek ones who pray, rejoice now you may. Soon Christ was enthroned, will his power display, and cause want, pain, and sorrow to vanish for aid. Let the wicked forsake their evil way, and let those harmful forsake their harmful thoughts.
That was a really nice rendition. So thank you so much.
God who mercy shows and who forgives.
Oh, he's still going on.
His own large way.
You might have to mute him, Lord. Way.
So yeah, that was.
Now we sing the actual cult songs.
Oh, happy are all men
no, he's still
carrying on.
who will listen today. And
I would prefer to see his dog take a whiz.
I think he is actually just listening to the music himself. Yeah, he's only just realised now.
So,
God.
To our 200 viewers,
I can tell
really
you.
sorry.
Arthur, no offense. It was very good. Well, with an asterisk. It's just that there's 260 people watching, and I don't want to lose every single one of them. So there was a point at which I did have to pull the plug. But that was very, very imaginative, and perhaps we can get Marc ODonnell's thoughts on the creative quality there.
So I don't know if I want to comment on the creative quality, but it actually does bring to mind the fact that a lot of JWs did get involved in music, and they did make what Arthur just played, like their own melodies to Kingdom songs, and they would make their own versions. For example, I had a whole CD at one point somebody gave me of the brothers and sisters in Trinidad or in Africa in various countries, like Xhosa. They would sing in Xhosa. And some of that was quite beautiful because they were singing a cappella. I remember when I was in Fiji 30 years ago, I went to a Kingdom Hall that ended up, they ran their meetings, they ran their electric on a generator because they didn't have power in this little Kingdom Hall, which had a dirt floor. And so they would have power to run their little cassette player if they had gasoline for the generator. And the day that we were there, they had no gasoline. So they had to sing a cappella. So all of the witnesses just stood up and they called on a sister and said, in Fijian, it wasn't English, they said, sing the first bar. And so she started the first bar, and then the whole congregation chimed in. And let me tell you, it was some of the most beautiful sounding, albeit it was Kingdom melodies, but the voices in harmony of these local Fijians was so beautiful. So a lot of this music I ended up bringing back to the US. And when we were building our assembly hall, one of the jobs that I had back in 2008 to 2009 was putting together the entire sound system for the Crownsville Assembly Hall in Maryland. And so that meant from the very beginning, I was assembling the system, beginning to test it as we started installing various speaker systems throughout the auditorium. And so one day I brought in some music, and it was kind of like what Arthur, but not as goofy. It was like the African music or the Fijian music. And what I did was, while we were all building the property, while we were all, we had already put a roof on and we were building this property, I actually tested the sound system by playing this music for the friends while they were working. And do you know, they came up to me and, a couple of the construction overseers and said, Brother O'Donnell, we feel that that's inappropriate, that you play these non-Jehovah's Witness, it was not from the branch. These were friends that had made up their own, and it was very beautiful music. In fact, one of them was from Trinidad, and it was all steel drums, and they made me turn it off. And I remember thinking,
that's gone completely out of the window with the international conventions, where anything goes when it comes to entertaining the delegates.
Yeah, you're right, Lloyd. It's gone out the window, but still, what they're playing is official JW melodies for the most part, right? They're because now they have these instrumentals. Now, when I was growing up, do you guys remember when, back in the 70s, we only had the records, the big 33 RPM vinyl records, and it was, let's see, they had instrumentals. So in other words, it wasn't just a piano, they had instrumentals. And then a few years later, they said, we want to simplify. So they only started playing piano music at Kingdom Halls. So then they started producing cassettes, and they got rid of all the instrumentals, and they said, we only want to keep it simple. And they also stopped letting Jehovah's Witnesses who played the piano play at the Kingdom Hall. They wanted everything to be consistent across the board. So they said no, because look, in Maryland, just about every Kingdom Hall, we installed a microphone jack, and we put a piano in the front right side of the Kingdom Hall, and you would always have a JW sister, usually, sometimes a brother, that would play the Kingdom songs, and they would practice all week, and then you get to the meeting, and they would play the songs. But the organization got to the point where they said, this is kind of like putting too much emphasis on the piano player. And because of that, they didn't want that any longer. They wanted consistency across the organization, across the whole global empire of Jehovah's Witnesses. So they got rid of the piano players. We started losing our individual identities as local areas. And they did that with Kingdom Halls as well. You lost the identity of, like, you couldn't customize your Kingdom Hall. You had to use all of these very specific plans. And they had about 10 or 12 plans that the RBC came up with about 30 years ago or 20 years ago.
Because we must have unity and uniformity.
Yes. Uniformity. Yeah. So anyway, that's my story about the music. They had me shut it off, and now they've got basically Christian pop music videos, which I would have never thought growing up that they would have done that, because they were criticizing all the other churches for doing that very thing, having the, groups of church members playing in a band and making that part of their worship service. And now we're starting to see the JWs kind of gravitate towards the very things that they were condemning 20 or 30 years ago.
Oh, but you forget, Mark.
I think they're aiming towards the young people, right?
Yeah.
Just thanks to, by the way, my stream froze, so I had to go back and come back in again. Go out and come back in. Tebow Time 12, thank you so much for your super chat. Love the live streams. Have you guys noticed the similarities between Song 76 and REM Song Stand?
Totally. Stand in the... Yeah, definitely. Yeah, definitely. I know the one
and
you mean.
I wanted to find a comment, if I can find it real quick, from the Black Sheep, or a Black Sheep. This is for Arthur, because I do feel bad for cutting you off there, Arthur. It says vocals 10, lyrics -10, unfortunately.
Can we
but I'm
take those
hoping
10 points off his quiz score to get him 10 points behind?
It's not how it works, Sasha.
Oh.
I'm hoping though that
we've indoctrinated a few people this morning, Lloyd.
I'm hoping that we can improve the overall quality of lyrics on this show with a little bit of sophistication and a little bit of culture in the form of Sasha's Poetry Corner.
Okay. Well, I had one sent in to me by our friend of the show, Simon Instone. A little bit of a free verse or a different style of poem.
Simon's actually in the comments in the live chat.
Oh, good. Excellent. Yeah. All right, Simon, I apologize if I don't read it in the way that it was intended, but I'll try my best. So he said that it's a poem about corona or coronavirus and also leaving Jehovah's Witnesses at the same time. You'll see some parallels in there. It's called Masks. We always wore masks. Masks we wore from day to day and from door to door. The masks are the faces we wore to show we were true, to show we were right, to show we were marching to the light. Then there were new masks to block the infection and to save you from mine. How did we wear them? Were they on just right? Now the disease is gone and we're moving on. No use for the old mask. I'll wear this one with pride. Well, that was quite clever, Simon.
Excellent.
Thank you very much for sharing.
Thank you, Simon.
It's very good. And then I quickly threw one together. I do apologize. This isn't one of my best.
Don't talk yourself down there. Don't talk yourself
down.
No
self-deprecation, Sasha.
Exactly.
Oh, yes. I'm not a Jehovah's Witness anymore. I don't have to put myself down. Okay. All right.
It's a hard habit to break.
Here we go. Yeah. All right. As we help people wake from their religious indoctrination, it's so vital we encourage them to use their imagination, to picture a time in their very close future where they will develop, yes, they will mature, and reclaim their real lives, becoming all they can be, living an authentic life with no restrictions, yes, free to break out of the cult-like faith bubble, with confidence to grow and live apart from that trouble, no longer held captive by doctrines that suppress real life, where full potential can be nurtured. Yes, their minds will thrive. For those of us here who have walked this path prior, let's treat those still enslaved with kindness to inspire. Provide a safe landing place where their questions are welcome. Help them see it's okay to think out of the spectrum. Because real truth is not threatened by sincere investigation. No, truth claims are not harmed by the very mere suggestion that the faith we once clung to, where we felt we belonged, may simply have been based on claims that were wrong. So take hold of every moment and build a life that is real and live every day with happiness. Yes, that's our appeal.
You just threw that together. That's excellent. That's one of
It's
your best poems.
Sasha.
Oh, thank you.
I look forward to releasing your book when this is all said and done.
Indeed. The Last Days live stream, Sasha's Poetry Corner book. I'm sure that
Are you going to want royalties for that, Lloyd?
You know what? I'm a generous type, so I'd let you keep those royalties. But if there were to be a Last Days live stream or a Last Days quiz book, now that's a different story, and that takes us on rather obviously in terms of a segue to said Last Days quiz.
This one brother put it, stay alive to 75.
Yes, welcome. Welcome, one and all, to the Last Days quiz, the ultimate battle of minds, as two teams of today's panelists face off against each other to prove their knowledge of this show and Jehovah's Witness Doomsday Dogma. I realize, I'm looking at you all, we now have a screen with just a sofa.
I guess we gotta turn that one off, huh?
I'm going to turn that one off. Yeah, let's remove that one.
We could consult together here. See,
no.
Well, I realise that this is all getting very confusing. That looked a bit weird for a moment there, Kimmy.
I had to do it.
I realise that we have we established in the last show that there is now Team D'Souza. But if Team D'Souza doesn't mind, could Team D'Souza play for Arthur's Knights so that we can continue the rivalry between Team O'Donnell and Arthur's Knights as a one-off. Would that be okay? Because what that means is that we can do the round of the show that deals with song lyrics, because even though Arthur was pretending before that he knows all about Kingdom Melodies, his knowledge will not be as exhaustive when it comes to triggering lyrics as the D'Souza's. So if you don't mind, D'Souza's,
High five. High five, Sasha.
Virtual high five. There we go, yeah.
And as a reminder, Arthur has to show his hands.
Well, that's the rule for everybody. When you're answering a question,
praise the
Lord.
Lord.
You're answering a question, as long as I think the lyrics, it doesn't matter necessarily, but put your, actually with the lyrics as well, because you could Google that, put your hands where we can all see them. That's a rule for everybody. And just a very quick shout out to Moultrie Geeks for your very kind super chats. Thank you for shining a light on a dark subject. That's very kind of you, Moultrie. And also to Harvey Logan. Glad I can help out this week. You really are helping. So thank you to Harvey and Moultrie there for your super chats. So
hey Lloyd, real quick, could we just clarify one thing?
Sure.
That Mark and I won last week. I just wanted to.
Okay, so as things stand, you see, there's already the smack talk from Team O'Donnell. So Team O'Donnell won the inaugural game of the last day's quiz with 20 points to Arthur's Knights 9. But then in midweek, Arthur's Knights came roaring back with a show record of 29 points to Team D'Souza's 5.
You're going to force me to have to get up at 3:30 in the morning this coming Wednesday.
So although
there had to be cheating involved in that.
So well, listen, come on, let's keep things civil. Let's keep things civil, Team O'Donnell. So although
I think now Arthur has figured it out, and he's honestly, Lloyd, I think he should be kicked out. I think Arthur's figured it out. I think he's got his girlfriend watching the program.
I'm going to have to allow him answers on another device. Just for the pre-quiz smack talk. I'm going to have to allot time in future. But even though Team O'Donnell boasts so far a 100% win record, with Arthur's Knights only boasting 50%, Arthur's Knights does, as I mentioned, have the record number of points. So lots to play for in terms of prestige and records and that kind of thing. Let's get underway, shall we? We do need to have the coin toss. So does anyone have...
we don't have any coins.
Does anyone fancy being a tosser?
Do we need to go get... Does someone have a coin?
Do we have a rock or a leaf? Here, grab that rock right behind you. That looks like a coin.
Is there? We're gonna do a rock toss.
The trail where the O'Donnells are just seems to be strewn with coins.
Oh, rock.
All right. So here's what we're gonna do. We've got a coin.
Okay.
Can you see that? It's
black
on one side.
Coin here. I'm going to put us all out of our misery. So it doesn't actually have.
Oh, well, we have to use the rock.
No. This is an actual coin, and I think it was left in the bunker by Arthur because it says 10 Bani on one side and Romania 2014 on the other side. I can't think of any other Romanians that have been in the bunker. So, Arthur, do you want Bani or Romania 2014?
I want tails. That's the 10 Bani.
10 Bani. Okay. So I'm going to toss the coin. And it's the O'Donnell. Team O'Donnell going first because it says Romania 2014. So Team O'Donnell go first. The randomness, by the way, viewers, is an integral part of the quiz because then it can't be argued that I'm selecting the questions for the team. Okay, so the first round is They Wouldn't Write That. It's one question each for 5 points. and you have to indicate which of the following 3 quotes was not written by Watchtower, but which was made up by me. So I'm going to read 3 quotes. This is for Team O'Donnell. Keep your hands where we can see them, and the other panelists are allowed to police any movement of the hands.
We don't have a computer here anyway.
We're outside.
But you might have watched our library on your phone.
Okay.
Well, if we try to touch
stand
our
down,
screen,
everyone.
you'll
stand
see it.
down. It's the rules apply regardless of where you are. Okay, so I'm going to read the 3 quotes. What if a person is offered a free lottery ticket or free money to use for gambling? In either case, accepting such an offer would still be supporting a gambling operation, an operation out of harmony with godly principles. That's quote 1. Of course, the fact that Jehovah's servants weep over the sorry state of world affairs does not preclude their being happy. On the contrary, they are actually the happiest group of people on earth. That's quote 2. And quote 3, if faithful men of old were so uncompromising in keeping divine worship pure and unpolluted, how much more so should God's servants today reject any attempt by Satan's dying system to taint their precious relationship with Jehovah? So which is the fake quote out of those 3?
B?
So let's do, can you do a recap?
Oh, come on,
real quick.
Come on, Mark.
You have to be paying
I think
attention.
the first one's real.
Yeah, I think the 3rd one's real. I think the 2nd one is not.
Then could you just read the 2nd and the 3rd?
Okay, the 2nd, of course, the fact that Jehovah's servants weep over the sorry state of world affairs does not preclude their being happy. On the contrary, they are actually the happiest group of people on earth. And the 3rd quote, if faithful men of old were so uncompromising in keeping divine worship pure and unpolluted, how much more so should God's servants today reject any attempt by Satan's dying system to taint their precious relationship with Jehovah?
Yeah, so the second one sounds like Lloyd.
Yeah, so B.
Is that your final answer?
It is.
Final answer.
Incorrect.
Oh,
I actually wrote the 3rd one.
oh my goodness. Well, you are way too good.
That's good. We had it down to B or C, but too good, Lloyd.
Okay.
Man, Lloyd, you really missed your opportunity to be in the writing department.
I did. So the first quote was the Awake 1994, August 8th, page 15.
Yeah, I remember that one.
Yeah,
the
me too.
second quote about world affairs and happy people was from Watchtower 1999, October 1st, page 8. So Team O'Donnell begin the quiz with 0 points, nil point.
Well, you know, that's how we roll, Lloyd. We like starting out slow and then coming back with a vengeance.
Like the coronavirus.
Yeah. Will Arthur have a second spike? We shall see. So, okay, Arthur, you need to keep your hands where we can see them. And I'm going to read 3 quotes. You have to tell me which one I have made up.
Yes. Let's see.
Quote 1. A university degree may or may not improve your employment prospects, but one fact is indisputable. The time left is reduced. For all its presumed benefits, would 4 years or more in a university be the best use of that remaining time? Quote 2. Before participating in a high-risk sport, ask yourself if it befits Christians to treat the precious gift of life with such recklessness. When Jesus was on the earth, he made preaching the good news of the kingdom his sole preoccupation. Never would Christ have forsaken this important commission for any momentary thrill. And quote 3, all who seek a place in the redeemed society of mankind thereby come into association with the happiest people on earth, Jehovah's Witnesses. These are the only people who know for a certainty where they are going. Which of those have I made up?
Quote 1 is definitely a genuine Watchtower quote. Because I've read it.
You've read everything, haven't you, Arthur?
Not really. I've read Mark's googling these quotes right up. Yeah, exactly, on his Air keyboard. Well, quote
Completely.
Brothers Down Under, do you have any input on this?
Yes,
please?
you do have your team to call upon, so you have.
Yes.
Do we get to ask a friend, phone a friend?
Nope.
My gut feeling, Arthur, is that the second one
is Lloydian.
Yeah, it's very much Lloydian. It's trying to sound very Watchtowerian.
Right, Watchtower, but he does that writing department stuff. Okay, final answer. Quote number 2.
I would have said 3.
Oh, sorry.
Are you sure about that?
Well, hang on. Sherry's got an opinion.
No.
Here.
Oh, really?
We should allow a woman to have an opinion. We're not in the congregation after all. So.
Yes, of course,
Sherry?
of course.
No, I might turn it all away.
If you get it wrong,
Yeah,
we'll all be
let me
angry
hear the
at
end
you,
of
but
it.
that's fine, you know. Arthur, what do you reckon? 2 or 3?
I don't think 3's. I think 3's Lloyd's.
Oh.
Because I don't think Watchtower would say that they're going to survive with certainty.
Well, it's between you and Arthur to decide. I'm backing out of this one.
It's up to you, Arthur.
It's your reputation at the end of the day, Arthur. So, you know.
Well, I should stick with my guts.
Arthur, what's your final answer? Which one of those is the fake quote?
Number 2.
Correct.
Well done, Arthur.
Arthur's Knights are 5 points ahead at this stage. We move
Congratulations, you guys.
We move on to this. Bet Sherry's feeling relieved there. We move on to the next round.
Good job standing your ground, Arthur.
We move on to the next round, which is called Songs of Doom. So 3 questions each, 2 points for each answered correctly. Although answers on this round can be forfeited. So if you don't answer correctly or you don't know the answer, the other team gets an opportunity to steal the points. So we begin with Team O'Donnell. I'm going to give you part of a lyric and you're going to complete it. Hands where we can see them. Loyal submission in recognition. This to our God we owe.
In recognition.
This to our God we show.
Take this. Yeah, look. Loyal. In fact, that's. I think it's got loyalty in the title, right? Loyal.
He gives protection.
Tender affection. He gives protection. He gives protection. Tender affection. This.
Loyal submission in recognition. This to our God we owe. He gives protection.
Tender affection. Loyalty to God we show.
I'm going to let you off the hook a little bit there. You kind of got it.
I wasn't sure how much we had to get.
I'm going to award you the 2 points. He gives protection, tender affection, loyalty to him we show. So congratulations.
Hey Lloyd, I just want to find out how are your neighbours responding there, Mark and Kimmy, watching you guys singing gospel songs in the garden of
well,
no one's around us right now.
There's I don't know if you guys can see the bikers coming by.
Yes. Meanwhile, you're singing gospel songs.
Now there's a lot going on. There's a street here where there's a lot of bikers that go by. and also regular cyclists. So anyway, 2
Team
points.
O'Donnell adding to the history of this historic place with their bizarre babbling.
All I know, I was really happy that these songs
The babbling
were
brook.
like left my brain, and now I've got to like dig back up and make these connections. And
now it's time for Arthur's Knights to try to keep their lead unsurmountable. Arthur, you're going to rely heavily at this point on a help from Team JWsurvey.
Definitely.
So I'm going to give the first lyric, and you and your team need to complete the lyric. While men praise their disgusting image.
Oh, is that it?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
You can if you want. I didn't do this for the last one, but if you're struggling to remember the song, I can sing the lyric to you.
Oh, please. Yeah. Okay. Yes.
what?
Very rarely are people so enthusiastic about me singing.
Oh, yeah.
While men praise their disgusting image.
And spurn
The Prince of Peace.
Correct. You
Well
have
done, Arthur.
won your 2 points.
We hail that one with jubilation. His rule will increase.
So Arthur's Knights are now on 7 points to Team O'Donnell's 2 points. We go back to Team O'Donnell for our next lyric. Oh, joy of joys, what grand reunion.
You're giving a very short.
I'm gonna have
snippets.
to hear you sing that, Lloyd.
Okay. Oh, joy of joys, what
The
grand
grand
reunion.
reunion. When is this a resurrection song?
Yes.
Oh, joy of joys, what grand reunion. When we at last.
I know it.
You've got to keep quiet though, or you're helping the other team, Sherry.
Okay, well.
Well, that doesn't help us.
Arthur will sternly admonish you if you help the other team because he's a cruel
I'm trying to remember the title of it.
No.
Right. I'm going to give you one chance to have a guess at the lyric, and then it goes to Arthur's Knights.
Oh, joy of joy, what grand reunion. When
I don't think you know it, so I'm going to give it over to.
we'll pass.
I'm going to give it over to Arthur's Knights.
Thought we were allowed to
Joy
forfeit.
of joys, what grand reunion, when billions dead return to life.
Correct. Yep. So
Billions dead. Yeah.
Scoops up the
That's
point
wonderful. All those
on
dead
that
people.
one, and we stay with Arthur's Knights, who are now on 9 points for the next lyric. What's the rest of the lyric? Firm and determined in this time of the end.
That's an easy one.
It's a lyric.
Prepared our servants for good news to defend.
I'm going to give it to you. Prepared our God servants the good news to defend. So you picked up another 2 points, and now we move over to Team O'Donnell, who are still on 2 points. 2 points. Please complete the lyric. We may spend much time in preaching, persecution to endure.
Would you mind singing it, Lloyd?
We may spend much time in preaching, persecution to endure.
Oh my God, I can't believe how he's come back.
We spend much time in preaching, persecution to endure. We may.
You just make it random. Endure.
I'm going to assume that
I'm
you
sorry.
don't know the rest of it.
No, songs are my trigger, and I finally dumped that stuff
It's
out of my
actually
brain.
a good thing. It's a good thing that you're struggling on this round because it shows that you've managed to purge your mind of these lyrics,
Yeah.
which still plague my mind.
And I was always a singer, so I knew all the songs, all the lyrics, all the melodies.
Yeah.
But I don't know it.
Well done.
Okay.
Congratulations. But we must hand it over to Arthur's Knights. Please complete the lyric.
Arthur, have you got it? Or do you want some help?
Hey, I don't see his hands.
I need help.
Okay. But what profit would it bring us if our motives were not pure?
Correct.
Yep.
Yeah. What profit would it bring us if our
Yeah.
motives
Thank you.
were not pure?
Well
Good
So-
job, guys. Good
We
job.
stay.
I don't know if I feel good.
You know
about
what? I'm
it.
gonna have to do homework. I'm gonna have to
No,
look
no,
through
no.
this book for next week.
We stay with Arthur's Knights for the final question of the round. Complete the lyric. Jehovah, our rock, our strength and our might.
It's very close. It's very close.
Are you gonna sing that one, Lloyd?
Jehovah, our rock, our strength and our might.
Your name we make known both day and night.
You see, that's not the melody, Arthur.
No, he didn't
are
get
you,
the melody
are you
right.
reading
He got
that
the word
somewhere?
right.
It was different in Romania. They sung it differently in Romania.
Do you think that's how the melody goes, Arthur?
I don't know. I don't remember the melody exactly, but I'm.
Well, what
trying
are
to
you
remember
remembering then? Because you didn't sing these songs.
No, I sang them in.
That's all right.
I sang them
We
in
can cover it.
Romanian. But I did. I
You
did.
got
have
lost in translation, Lloyd.
Yeah.
I'm
the
telling
melody
you,
got lost in
he's got a
translation.
secret JW behind the scenes feeding him.
Yeah.
For the
Arthur,
record, Mark and I knew that
willing-
one right away.
My hands are.
Arthur, are
free.
you willing, in good conscience, being as you are, ahead by 13 points, are you willing, in good conscience, to take another 2 points for that? Because it seemed a bit suspicious the way you were completing the verse.
Oh really?
Yeah,
His team could back him up, though, Lloyd.
you didn't get the
saying.
melody right at all.
I mean, I do.
because
I
don't
do
know the
agree that
melody.
he.
I don't know the melodies. By
Sherry
heart.
wants to sing.
No, I don't.
But
Sherry
it's the
wants to
melody-
sing.
Then how do you memorize the lyrics if you don't know the
It's
song?
the melody that helps you remember the. Anyway, I'm going to give you the 2 points, but that. Okay. So.
One. Just make one.
So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So Arthur is on 15 points at this point to Team O'Donnell's 2 points. As we go into the third round, out of context. So you each get 2 questions. You have to tell me who said this in our last day's live stream episode.
You know I don't watch it on Wednesday.
Team Hey, you have to be given extra points for watching the show. So, Team O'Donnell.
We don't watch apostate material.
Team O'Donnell, who said this? There's a very similar Situation Room show. Sorry. There's a very similar Situation Room showing a missile launching.
So it's either going to be Sasha or Sherry or Kim or Arthur.
They were the one on the show?
I mean, I'm just guessing people that normally show up on that Wednesday.
Yeah, but neither one of us saw who was on the show, right?
So who would comment on a missile?
Sasha.
Yeah, that's logical.
Arthur. I don't know. I'll go with Arthur.
You think? Well, he might not have phrased it that way.
We're just guessing, Mark, so go ahead and guess.
I'm going to say Sasha on this one. You okay with that?
Yeah, I went with that originally.
Yeah. Then okay, so we'll go with Sasha.
So your final answer is Sasha. Is that your final answer?
That's our final answer.
It's our final guess.
Your answer.
Good thing my self-esteem is not tied up to winning this game.
Your answer is incorrect. It was actually me who said that. So,
forgot you were on the show.
And as amazing as this may sound, yes, I'm on.
But you don't count. You're the host.
Show.
I forgot you were on the show.
It doesn't count, Lloyd. That's fraud.
It does count. There are only 3 of us on the show.
But you're the host. It doesn't count.
So
we officially are protesting. The rest of this show, we are lodging a protest.
Okay. You do that by your bicycle trail.
Feel free to mute Mark.
So
I'm going to make a protest sign.
We're moving on to Arthur's Knights. Who said this? You'll all have to stick with me for a few moments here.
That was me.
No, it was Sasha.
Really?
Yeah, because Lloyd froze and something happened.
Oh yeah, that's true. That's true.
So what's your final answer?
Sasha.
Is that your final answer?
Yeah, lock it in.
Correct. You gather another 2 points. It was indeed Sasha when my live stream
froze. Any help? I don't even remember saying it. So.
You're no help.
We move over to Team O'Donnell. Who said this in our last show? She is, I guess, 17 or 18 years old, so really very old.
That sounds like something Arthur would say.
Arthur, final answer.
Correct. Team O'Donnell, you have managed to double your points.
Woohoo!
You jumped from 2 points to 4 points. So congratulations.
Arthur introduced us to his beautiful little cat, and she's what, 17, 18 years old? The one that
So she's old.
She's an old cat, but she's beautiful.
We move across to Arthur's Knights. Is it Arthur's Knights? Go. I'm losing track of space and time at this point. Arthur's Knights. Who said this? We've progressed in countless ways that generations past would never have predicted.
You can talk, you know.
I think this was Lloyd. I think.
No.
Was it you, Sasha? Do you remember this line?
I better remember it. It was my bloody poem.
Oh.
Awesome. Yeah.
What's your
with
answer?
Brother D'Souza.
Correct. You scoop another 2 points. So you're now on 19 points. And we move back to Team O'Donnell. Who said this in a show that you didn't watch? Even if it doesn't hurt when it happens, it's just uncomfortable.
Sherry? Was she on? Yeah. Maybe we're doing our comfort corner or something.
Don't.
Yeah, because he already used Sasha and Lloyd.
But that doesn't matter.
I know, but I think he likes mixing it up.
We'll go with Sherry. Final answer. I mean, we're guessing anyway.
That was actually me referring to my.
I told you,
iron
Mark.
villain. So
he's a sneaky, you know what?
I wasn't there.
Oh, you were on the show.
It's literally
That's right. It was
something-
literally Tasha, Arthur, and
It's
Lloyd.
literally something that I said in front of thousands of people who've since watched it, so it's not sneaky. And we now move on. We now move on to Arthur's Night for the final question in this round. Arthur's Night. Who said this? Love is God's primary quality.
Yeah, that was my lyric for
Yeah, I was going to say Arthur sang that.
LOV.
Correct. You collect another 2 points. Bear in mind that we had the coin toss, so I'm not controlling the order of questions. So Arthur has identified his own lyric there from his Sing Along with Arthur. So as we head into the final Apocalypse Delayed round, Arthur's Knights are on 21 points and Team O'Donnell are on 4 points. But Team O'Donnell can still win because there's 2 questions in Apocalypse Delayed, each worth 10 points, which means that if Arthur's Knights don't answer their questions correctly, Team O'Donnell would just nudge ahead of them. So it's all to play for, at least for the first question in the Apocalypse Delayed round.
Final Jeopardy here.
Final Jeopardy. So Apocalypse Delayed, there's 2 questions each, 10 points for each correctly answered question. In which year was the following statement about Armageddon printed? And this is for Team O'Donnell. We are now in this specially provided period for the salvation of Jehovah's sheep, when the tribulation launched against Satan's organization in 1914 has let up, but will soon resume to its climax and finish in Armageddon. Was that printed in 1951, 1978, or 1992?
92, maybe.
Could you read it one more time, please? Sorry.
We are now in this specially provided period for the salvation of Jehovah's sheep, when the tribulation launched against Satan's organization in 1914 has let up, but will soon resume to its climax and finish in Armageddon. Was it 1951, 1978, or 1992?
So he says the tribulation launched against Jehovah's organization. That seems like not a very recent kind of phrasing. Tribulation launched against Jehovah's organization. And it was 1951, and the second one was 78.
1951, 1978, or 1992?
I don't know. I thought it was something in the Revelation Grand Climax book, maybe, and that's why I was saying 92. But
well, you're right. There was some crazy phrasing in there.
But the Revelations Grand Climax wasn't printed in 1992.
Yeah, never mind.
Right, that was
Great
earlier.
Tribulation.
Right?
That was 88.
Yeah, okay.
So
never mind.
yeah, I feel like when it says the tribulation launched against Jehovah's organization was either going to be 51 or possibly 78.
Yeah, maybe 78, the wrap up on the whole 1975 thing when they were doing the Eve stuff.
Yeah, you know what? Because we had like the nation shall know that I am Jehovah.
Can you guys use one microphone because there's quite a lot of echo coming?
Sorry about that.
It's all right. Yeah.
Yeah. Are you okay? Are we good now? Sorry about that.
It's all right.
Okay. Here we go.
So go with B.
So you want to go with B78?
Yes.
Okay. So we're going to say B, and maybe it's from like the either man's salvation out of world distress at hand, or possibly even the Ezekiel book.
He only needs to know the year.
Yeah. But I'm just trying to reason with myself. So we're going to go with B.
Is that your final answer?
B, final answer.
That's our final guess.
Your answer is incorrect. It was 1951. So, unfortunately, you have lost this game, but let's nevertheless finish so that we see how many points we can finish on as we move over to the triumphant Arthur's Knights for their question.
Where was the quote from?
The quote was from the 1951 Watchtower, June 1st.
Watchtower. Okay, thank you.
That's okay. So, Arthur's Knights, in what year was this said? During this final part of the last days, it is to be expected that Satan will continue to launch an avalanche of lies and deceptions. Was it 2004, 2019, or 1994?
2019.
Yeah, I'm going 2019 too.
That's a 2019 type of phrasing. Sasha?
Is that your final answer?
Arthur, I default to you.
Final answer, 2019.
Incorrect.
No!
It was actually 2004.
Oh.
So that was the Watchtower 2004, February 15th. So commiserations to both teams for losing their initial questions. However, doesn't this highlight the fact that these things could be said at any point in the organization history? Which is kind of the point of the round, to be honest. So we go back to Team O'Donnell for their final question of the game. Team O'Donnell currently on 8 points for the game, with a chance to boost that to 18 points. In what year was this said? What is taking place on the world scene today is clear evidence that this system of things is indeed in the final part of the last days foretold at 2 Timothy chapter 3. Was it 1985, 2008, or 1949?
I'm losing you guys.
Did you not hear that?
Are you there?
Oh.
No, Lloyd, it cut out or something. Can you say the years again?
Can you hear me now?
Yep.
Yes.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Good. Okay, I'll read that again. I wondered why there was such pensive silence. I thought, gosh, this is very tense. Okay, so the quote reads, what is taking place on the world scene today is clear evidence that this system of things is indeed in the final part of the last days foretold at 2 Timothy chapter 3. Was this printed in 1985, 2008, or 1949?
Definitely part of the last days, but I mean, honestly, it could be any one of those, which shows you how far back they've been talking about the last days. But it's
the final part of the last days.
Yeah, that's true, the final part. But I mean, Louis probably going to trip us up and say, hey, you know, they said it even back in the 50s or 49, was it? What was it?
So 1985, 2008, or 1949?
Yeah. We're going 85.
Kimmy, is 1985 your final answer? Is that a yes?
Yes, it's our final answer.
Did you hear her?
O'Donnell, I did. I'm just building up the suspense. So if you watch Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, Chris Tarrant does this, but Chris Tarrant probably does it better than I do.
Right, they make you second guess yourself.
Your answer is correct. It was 1985. So you've salvaged some respect with 10 points to take your total for the game.
What about the bonus round? We got to have a bonus round.
You just want the game to go on indefinitely so you can win. Not how it works, unfortunately. 18 points is your final tally for this game. But we do have a final question for Arthur's Knights. who have to tell me in which year this was printed. Soon at Armageddon, Jehovah God will cause all the wisdom of the wise men to perish.
I forgot. We can share your microphone.
Was this printed in 2006, 1992, or 1938?
The wisdom of the wise man to perish.
My gut feeling, Arthur, says 2006, but I don't know. What do you think, mate?
No, that's too late.
Okay.
It could have been said any time.
Well, that's true, yeah.
Yeah.
Over to you, Arthur. You decide.
Yeah, Sasha, I know what you mean there. So what are the years?
Well, read that again and then pass it to us, and then we're gonna get 20 points for it.
So as things
Can we
we
steal?
want to steal.
As things stand, Arthur's Knights are the winners, but they're the winners by 21 points to 18. If they get this question right, their lead goes to 31 points to 18. So the question again reads, soon at Armageddon, Jehovah God will cause all the wisdom of the wise men to perish. Was this published in Watchtower Materials in 2006, 1992, or 1938?
I'm going to say 92.
1992. Do you agree, Team D'Souza?
I agree. Yes.
Yep. Fine.
Is that your final answer?
Brother Evans, our final answer is 1990. What? No, I said, 1992, yeah.
Correct. You finished the game with 31
guys.
points to Team O'Donnell's 18. So the role's somewhat reversed because Team O'Donnell won the first game, Arthur's Knights have won the second game. So yes,
Now
things
the
are
fun
balancing out. There's karma in the universe, it seems.
What do they have to do now?
Now the
So I'm.
Oh yes, there's the prize.
Oh, there's punishment.
Oh, yeah.
There's punishments. So the winning team, in this case, Arthur's Knights, have to decide. Bear in mind that Team O'Donnell are sat in a very public place with people passing on their bikes.
Can they read the scripture I had to read last week at the top of their voice?
They need to decide whether, in the presence of passers-by, Team O'Donnell, number one, are wearing head coverings for the rest of the show. Number two, are reading
That's over.
Jeremiah 5 verses
We have
7 and 8
napkin.
from the previous edition of the New World Translation, or are singing the postlude from Song 62 from Sing Praises to Jehovah.
Post-Quaalude.
I'd say
Yeah.
have
I have
Kimmy
to
sing the
I have to
postlude
disconnect to
with a
get
head
the-
covering on her head.
No,
could
it has
probably
to
put
be.
it up on
Don't
the
be greedy. Don't be greedy, Arthur. It has to be one or the other.
Singing.
Yeah, the singing.
The singing, okay.
Singing.
So, Mark and Kimmy, just to refresh your memories, I should have prepared this as a separate file, but you have to sing "How happy are the merciful, in God's eyes truly." So
Beautiful.
you're going to sing it together, please, on the same camera.
Okay.
Standing in front of the
Okay.
in front of the fountain, please.
So, brothers and sisters, let's raise up, stand up, and let's read song number 62,
We don't even have
based
the
on
song.
Matthew 5, verse 7.
Take it away, guys.
Let's just sing. Okay. How happy are the merciful, in God's eyes they are beautiful.
Marvelous. A thing of beauty has just happened on the last day's live stream. That was brilliant.
And I'm in
And
two cameras. There's two of me. I could have joined both teams.
we're
Sasha,
seeing you.
Yeah, we're just
That's a
figuring
newer
out this technical
songbook.
stuff.
seeing you from different perspectives there, Kimmy. But yes, congratulations to Arthur's Knights for their stonking win.
Congratulations, you guys.
31 points to 18.
Imagine if I actually start watching Wednesday's show.
and that has actually taken us quite considerably past our 90-minute mark. But I just want to thank all of today's panelists for being such great sports. We've had some fantastic segments as well. And thank you also to all of those commenting in the live chat. Thanks for all the super chats. My comments have frozen, so I hope I've not missed any super chats. But thanks to all of you who've been watching along and supporting the channel. It really is very much appreciated. And thanks to the panelists. And Mark and Kimmy, I hope you enjoy the rest of your trip.
Thank you, and happy Independence Day
to those of you who live in the U.S.
Yes, commiserations to the United States of America, no longer being able to call Her Majesty the Queen your monarch. But it doesn't seem you've done too badly out of it. So congratulations again to Arthur's Knights. Thanks to all of my panelists and viewers. I do hope you have enjoyed today's show. Please remember, stay safe, stay positive, and we will see you in our next show. Take care.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.